So here we've got a brisket, which is beef, and it's from the chest of a cow. So I use here a Riverina brand. I find they're very consistent with flavor, size, and terms of cooking. So try and get to a brand that you get regularly use, and that will make your learning experience a lot faster because it's something that's more consistent. So when they come, once again, cryovac, we'll just open up the cryovac bag. So you can see here with this brisket, it's got this high piece at the top. So with the brisket, there's two muscles. There's the flat, which runs on the bottom, and the point, which runs on top. Now they run perpendicular to each other. So that makes them a little bit harder to cook too, with one that's a lot more fatty than the other. So that's where a lot of people run into problems, because one will be cooked really well, one won't be. But I'll show you today how to do it so you can do it perfectly the same. To make things easier though, from when I trim these, I'll trim across the top. So I'll take this top piece off. I won't throw it away, don't worry, we'll use that for burnt ends. And that just makes it a little bit more aerodynamic and cooks a bit easier. So I start by across here with a nice sharp knife and across the top of the brisket. So I'm trying to cut straight across, so I'm not cutting into the brisket at all. I said keep that though, don't. So you can see now it levels this out and makes it a lot easier to cook. Now, overall, I don't trim a lot off the top of this. This little bit of fat here will render out and make it nice and easy, and it gives you protection in the fire. So looking at that now, I wouldn't trim anything off the top. We'll flip it over and we'll have a look. I'll spin it around so you guys can see it. And there's a bit more fat here on the bottom. All I do for this big bit here is I'll just run my knife across there and take a little bit of that off. The main problem I see a lot of people, and when I teach in my classes and things, is you take too much fat off here, you spend too long trimming the brisket, and it makes it so much harder for you to do. So that's about all I do to this. I have very, very minimal trim, and I recommend you do the same. So we just trim this brisket now. We're gonna put our rub on. So a little bit of oil, same as before, and just rub that over. Now just a little bit to help that rub stick. Now with beef, I recommend salt, pepper, and garlic if you like, but pretty much that's what you need to do. So we'll rub this over. Now with the rubs, make your own, especially for beef, because they are very easy. So pretty much a base rub is 50% by weight salt to 50% by weight pepper. Always go by weight, that way too you really control it. If you go by a cup, things like that, different salts will have different amounts. A cup of table salt will not equal a cup of, say, flake salt. I use Saxa salt flakes with mine because I like the size of it, and it matches really well with the medium grade pepper that I use. So turn it over, and a little bit of oil on this side, rub it in. Now that oil is just to help that rub stick, and put a nice even coat across the whole brisket. And now with that rub, as I said, salt and pepper. The main reason I want to use just salt and pepper is I want the beef flavor to shine through. I don't want to cover it with other flavors and things like that. That's what I use. So with that one, there you go, a nice good covering, ready to go in the smoker. So now we're just going to trim this piece of the brisket that we took off the top of when we trimmed it. So just want to get rid of all that hard fat, and because it's not going to render out this one. So just trim down and try and take it so you don't lose any of the meat. Now you'll see when you're trimming this, you can see the marbling through the meat. There's a lot of marbling. It's a very fatty piece of brisket, which means it works really well for this trying to do burnt ends. So done properly, these will end up like little meat marshmallows. And there's never enough, I guarantee you that. So you don't have to get every little piece of fat off. It's more the bigger stuff. This makes it easier when you get it. So pretty much like that. And we'll just take that piece off there. So with the rub of this one, exactly the same as the brisket. A little bit of oil and a little bit of rub on both sides. This will cook around the same time as the smoke, as your brisket, and we'll go through a very similar process for the rest of it, which I'll show you as now we put it on the smoker. So let's take this brisket now and put it on the smoker. So with the brisket, we're going to pick it up. This is what we had the fat side originally. Now I cook fat side down because I can find that gives me protection. And this is the point end, which is the flat end, which I'll go through, and we'll use that as our protection as well. So I'll put it this way on the smoker. So fat side down and the point towards the fire. With the little burn ends, we'll put that on there just in front, and that can just sit in there then.